अरे यार इस पे वो आ रहा है. Hi viewers, welcome to Finacle Shah classes. We will be beginning with today's session on war, Russian and Ukraine war and its impact on global commodities. So I will just wait for a couple of viewers to join in and then we'll begin with the session. We are simultaneously live on YouTube as well. So hopefully viewers are able to see us on YouTube as well. All right. Yes, I think we are good to go. All right, I think we can begin with the session. We have people join in. So, welcome everyone to the session. My name is Shailesh, and today we will be talking about Russian-Ukraine war and its impact on commodities. Now, a lot of people have, talked about this in social media. A lot of people have covered this in social media regarding Russian-Ukraine war and how it is going. We are not going to discuss the causes behind Russian-Ukraine war. कि ये वॉर क्यों हुआ हम उसके बारे में डिस्कशन आज नहीं करेंगे बट वी विल टॉक अबाउट अब ये वॉर हो जो गया है इससे हम लोगों पे क्या इम्पैक्ट आ रहा है so especially in the world of commodities how it is impacting us is something we are going to talk about so let me begin with a bit of a background you know Russian Ukraine war couldn't have happened at a really bad time I mean इससे ज्यादा घटिया टाइमिंग और नहीं हो सकती थी हमारे वर्ल्ड के लिए रशियन यूक्रेन वॉर के लिए बिकॉज last 2 years have been devastating to the global economy where we have been struggling with pandemic we have been struggling with you know vaccinations and lockdowns and supply chain disruptions and in middle of that we are facing a Russian Ukraine war as we speak now this Russian Ukraine war has been impacting global commodities in a very severe manner we are going to talk about that in today's session I'm going to talk about in three different sections first I'm going to talk about the dependency of globe on रशिया रिगार्डिंग कमोडिटीज कि हम लोग रशिया पे इतने डिपेंडेंट क्यों है और कौन सी कमोडिटीज के लिए डिपेंडेंट है सेकंड प्री वॉर और पोस्ट वॉर ये कमोडिटीज का दाम कैसा दिख रहा है हाउ इज इट दैट द प्राइसेस हैव स्पाइक्ड क्रेजीली इन प्री वॉर एंड पोस्ट वॉर ऑन दीज कमोडिटीज एंड थर्ड व्हाट डज दैट मीन फॉर अस अब globally ये commodity spike के बाद में how is it that central banks across all monetary nations basically are going to cope up and what kind of measures can we expect on because of this commodity spike so let's get started I'm going to talk about the first commodity which is oil now whenever a war happens typically the first thing which you know spikes out of the blue is oil क्योंकि जब भी कोई लड़ाई होती है दो देशों के बीच में तेल सबसे महंगा होता है because it is required as an energy source in fact more than 28% energy consumption is sponsored because of oil so oil is used in energy consumptions across all the domains and another point is oil एक ऐसी चीज नहीं है जो हम लोग हमारे देश में या हमारे घर में जब मन चाहे तब हम लोग मैन्युफैक्चर कर सकते हैं this is very region centric and why Russia is so important Russia is second largest oil producer in the world after the UAEs and the Arab countries. Russia is the second largest oil producer. In fact, it produces nearly 5 million barrels a day. इतना तेल रशिया मैन्युफैक्चर करके एक्सपोर्ट करता है अब जब रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर हुआ व्हाट हैपेंड दिस war was basically condemned by a lot of world countries like US ने तो काफी सारे sanctions डाल दिए sanctions मतलब nobody can trade with Russia anymore on these aspects जो भी रशिया से ट्रेड करेगा it is as good as saying that you are supporting Russia so which is why Russian oil stopped hitting global markets in that quantum as it was hitting earlier pre-war तो हुआ क्या सप्लाई हो गया डाउन commodities and especially पूरा monopoly favor में चला गया the world's largest producers which are the UAE countries as a result oil का दाम $80 a barrel से $130 a barrel चला गया in fact we have talked about this in one of our reels by Nishta Zariwala on war of Russian war crisis and its impact on oil so which is why $80 अ बैरल जो $130 अ बैरल चला गया, ऑलरेडी आप सोच रहे होंगे इंडिया में पेट्रोल इतना महंगा हुआ है, तो इंडिया में प्राइसेस बढ़ने लग जाएंगे. Government was patient enough not to increase the prices immediately. Yes, they maintained the prices, and in fact, India has been buying oil from Russia at a discounted price despite US sanctions. अब US ने जो sanctions डाले, they expected everyone to follow it, but because Russia holds sort of like a monopoly in this domain, and क्योंकि रशिया का तेल अब कोई खरीद नहीं रहा था, रशिया ने सस्ता तेल बेचना चालू कर दिया, और इंडिया at a discounted price buying that oil from Russia. Now, this oil impacts everything. The second commodity which crazily got impacted is koila. Now, coal is used as a source of power generation throughout the globe. You will not believe, but more than 30% of electricity production happens from coal. And Russia is the third largest coal producer in the world after Australia and Indonesia. अब रशिया का इतना कोयला प्रोड्यूस जो हो रहा था, अगेन ड्यू टू यूएस सैंक्शंस, people stopped trading with Russia, and this coal wasn't hitting global markets in that quantum as it was doing earlier. On top of it, fear of shortages drives these prices even higher. कोल का दाम लगभग 2.5 गुना, 2.5 times in last 3 months. जनवरी से मार्च में 2.5 गुना दाम हो चुका है कोल का. As a result, this coal became so expensive. And what happens when coal becomes expensive? Power generation becomes expensive, because remember, 31% power is generated from coal. अब coal expensive होने के कारण power expensive हो गया. Power expensive होने के कारण क्या हुआ? Which are power intensive industries like steel and aluminium, they became more and more इनपुट कॉस्ट हैवी, एज इन उनके लिए महंगाई बढ़ गई, तो उन्होंने महंगाई ट्रांसफर करना चालू कर दिया. एज अ रिजल्ट, स्टील, एल्यूमिनियम, इनके भी दाम बढ़ना चालू हो गए. कोल वाज अ ह्यूज प्रॉब्लम इवन बिफोर रशिया एंड यूक्रेन वॉर, क्योंकि कोल शॉर्टेजेस बहुत ही ज्यादा वर्ल्ड को पागल कर रहे थे बिकॉज ऑफ कोविड लॉकडाउन एंड सप्लाई चेन डिसरप्शंस. एंड रशिया एंड चाइना और ऑस्ट्रेलिया की ऑलरेडी बहस हो गई थी regarding coal, because China stopped buying coal from Russia. They wanted to go towards a little bit of greener initiatives, and on top of it, Australia ने China के ऊपर इल्जाम लगाया United Nations Council में that maybe we need to investigate how this COVID started. China should pay for it, and which is why China actually did anti-trade initiatives against Australia. और इसका फायदा इंडिया को हुआ कि इंडिया started buying cheap coal from Australia. But anyways, that being said, अब कोल के दाम 2.5 गुना बढ़ चुके हैं, और ये कोल अगेन पावर को इंपैक्ट करता है, स्टील को इंपैक्ट करने लग जाता है. दैट इज द सेकंड मोस्ट इंपैक्टेड कमोडिटी व्हिच आई वांट टू टॉक अबाउट टुडे. द थर्ड मोस्ट इंपैक्टेड कमोडिटी इज निकल. निकल किस चीज में यूज होता है? निकल से कॉइन्स बनते हैं, बैटरीज बनती है, और निकल एक ऐसा कमोडिटी है जो कभी कोरोड नहीं होता, मतलब उसको जंग नहीं लगता. एज अ रिजल्ट, निकल इज यूज्ड इन डीसैलिनेशन प्लांट्स, टर्बाइंस, हाइड्रो पावर प्लांट्स के टर्बाइंस जो होते हैं वो निकल से बनते हैं. And this is a very important commodity. And why am I talking about it right now? Because Russia is the largest nickel producer in the world. 28% of world consumption of nickel comes from Russia. On top of it, जो second और third countries है, they are Australia and Canada, around 15 and 11%, which are very little as compared to 28%. दोनों को मिला भी लो तो 28% नहीं बनता. And this fear of shortage of nickel literally drove nickel prices, which pre-war, by the way, in the range of 20,000 a ton, $20,000 a ton, to $1 lakh a ton. Yes, 5 times price ho chuka tha nickel ka, only because of fear of shortages. Literally, London Metals Exchange ko apne trading stop karne pad gaye the because it hit 1 lakh ton, $1 lakh a ton. निकल का प्राइस हिट हो चुका था. फॉर व्यूअर्स पर्सपेक्टिव, लास्ट टाइम निकल का प्राइस गया था $40,000 अ टन इन 2007. उसका ऑल टाइम हाई वो रह चुका है. इट बीट इट्स ऑल टाइम हाई टू $100,000 a ton. It has come down now, obviously because of the cooling down and people realizing they are maybe overreacting on that front. But yes, the increase in nickel prices is here to stay. इससे बैटरीज महंगी हो जाएगी. बैटरीज के अलावा दूसरे जो इक्विपमेंट्स है अराउंड डीसैलिनेशन, और इवन एज अ मैटर ऑफ फैक्ट नेल्स, जो कीले होती है, टर्बाइंस, बोट्स, ये सब चीजें महंगी हो जाती है इसके कारण, बिकॉज निकल इज यूज देयर, और क्योंकि वो जंग नहीं लगता, पानी के अंदर ज्यादा लंबे टाइम तक रह सकता है. Third commodity which I want to talk about today is palladium. Palladium is used in semiconductor industry. Now, in our previous videos around inflation, I talked about disruption in industry because of COVID. कि inflation क्यों आया है, because of it is disruption. In fact, I'm sure everyone knows this. अगर आपको semiconductor और palladium नहीं भी पता है, I'm sure you guys know this, that cars मिल नहीं रही है, right? जो smart cars है या smart TVs है या smartphones है, इनके shortages चल रहे हैं because semiconductor का काफी heavy shortage चल रहा है market के अंदर. Why? Because of supply chain disruptions, कि यार वो चीजें बनने में थोड़ा टाइम लगता है, और लेबर शॉर्टेजेस कोविड के होने के बाद में सडनली जो डिमांड स्पाइक हुई, उसको डील करने के लिए उतना लेबर था नहीं और उतने रिसोर्सेस थे नहीं. As a result, semiconductor industry already was going through crazy shortages. Cars की बुकिंग महीनों महीनों तक चल रही थी. And to our viewers, this unfortunately is going to even worsen. क्योंकि जो निकेल जो palladium है, which is used in semiconductor industry, again Russia is the largest producer of palladium in the world. 24% of world's palladium consumption comes from Russia. आप सोच रहे होंगे रशिया है क्या? Yes, in fact it is world's powerhouse. मतलब इतना खतरनाक resources of minerals और commodities रशिया में मिलता है, and Russia being against something, it basically gives them a monopoly on those metals, which is why palladium became very crazy shortage. और इसका भी दाम 1.5 गुना आफ्टर प्री वॉर एंड पोस्ट वॉर, 3 महीने में 1.5 गुना हुआ है इसका भी दाम. So, these price increases have been crazy across the world. The next metal which I want to talk about, or next commodity which I want to talk about, is neon. Now, I don't know, many of you may not have actually heard this. It is not exactly a metal, but it's a noble gas. Neon is a metal around noble gas. Now, you may not be aware of this, science students को शायद पता होगा, but मैं आप लोगों को बता देता हूँ. Neon is used in chip industry. जो chips बनती है ना, in fact you would be surprised, US का 90% neon consumption for chip industry comes from Russia. Once again, Russia. So ये जो neon consumption जो US का chip industry है, it is going to be phenomenally badly hit because of neon. And Russia, US being against Russia, sanctions and everything, Russia से ट्रेड बंद हो रहा है, तो US का चिप इंडस्ट्री हिट होगा. US का चिप इंडस्ट्री हिट होगा तो हिट मतलब नॉट हिंदी वाला हिट, बट इंग्लिश, इट इज गोइंग टू बी हिट रियली बैड. तो ऐसे केसेस के अंदर सेमीकंडक्टर इंडस्ट्री और भी ज्यादा पीछे चली जाएगी. सो आने वाले टाइम में इनफैक्ट वी आर गोइंग टू सी सम terrible ripple effects because of this semiconductor industry. In fact, for viewers benefit, let me tell you explicitly कौन से industries में इसका सबसे ज्यादा impact दिखने वाला है. Automobile industry, appliances, machinery and gadgets, these are going to be hit really bad because of palladium shortages, neon shortages, likewise. The next metal which I want to talk about is aluminium. Now, aluminium being light in nature, light-weighted metal, it is used across the domain for manufacturing machinery or even transportation. Russia is second largest manufacturer of aluminium in the world, right after Canada, which is 11% contributing to the world's aluminium consumption. Russia is almost 10% contributing. Now, 10% को इतनी बड़ी मात्रा नहीं होती, which is why Russia being out of the picture has been very beneficial to aluminium industry of India and UAE. इंडिया और यूएई को काफी ज्यादा फायदा हुआ है इस चीज से. तो इंडिया और यूएई के एल्यूमिनियम इंडस्ट्रीज को बहुत ही ज्यादा फायदा हुआ है विद रशिया आउट ऑफ द पिक्चर. अगेन फॉर एवरीवन्स बेनिफिट, एल्यूमिनियम का दाम 1.5 गुना हुआ है जनवरी से मार्च में. सो प्री वॉर एंड पोस्ट वॉर यू कैन सी कितना महंगा और रादर कितना क्रेजी स्पाइक आया है इन कमोडिटीज में. अगर आप सिर्फ इनका इन्वेंट्री भी होल्ड करके रख लेते ना, तो शायद आपका 50% गेन इन 3 months हो जाता. सो अगेन अ क्रेजी इंपैक्ट. द नेक्स्ट थिंग विच आई वांट टू टॉक अबाउट इज टाइटेनियम. आई एम श्योर ये वर्ड आपने सुना होगा. इट इज इनफैक्ट यूज्ड इन सर्जरीज, मतलब किसी का नी सर्जरी, हिप रिप्लेसमेंट, जो भी जगह पे यूज होता है वहां टाइटेनियम यूज होता है. Russia is the largest producer of titanium in the world. In fact, it is termed as Titanium Valley of the world. अब ऐसे केसेस में once again you can imagine the impact on titanium prices. The surgeries are going to be more expensive going forward because the surgery requirements are going to be more expensive. because of shortage in titanium across the world. The next thing which I want to talk about is agricultural products, sunflower seeds and oil, sunflower oil and seeds. इस चीज में रशिया एंड यूक्रेन टुगेदर प्रोड्यूस मोर देन 50% of the entire world. मतलब more than 50% of entire world's consumption of sunflower oil and sunflower seeds come from Russia, and Russia and Ukraine, and both of them are in war. तो ऐसे केसेस में तेल, सनफ्लावर तेल महंगा होने वाला है, क्रेजीली महंगा होने वाला है. So as a result, these agricultural products are very expensive. In fact, you would be surprised, more than 27% of world's wheat production comes from Russia and Ukraine together. 27%, guys. मतलब 4 लोगों में एक इंसान रशिया खिलाता है. अब ऐसे केसेस के अंदर व्हीट का दाम इमर्जिंग कंट्रीज में 60% से ज्यादा बढ़ चुका है. इंडिया में भी बढ़ रहा है, and it is expected to increase even further. ऐसा shortages of food is going to hit the entire world, and problem here is not the entire world. The problem here is the starving countries, the emerging countries, low income countries, unfortunately जिनका import का major हिस्सा ही रशिया देता था. Like टर्की का 27% of imports they came from रशिया, जिसमें से मेजर था फूड. अब ऐसे केसेस के अंदर अगर रशिया बंद हो जाता है या वो ट्रेड बंद हो जाता है रशिया के साथ, टर्की which is already in crisis, by the way, I had covered this in our video lecture around Sri Lankan crisis, economic crisis. So if people are interested in finding out what exactly is going on with Turkey, what exactly is going on with Sri Lanka, do visit our lecture around Sri Lankan economic crisis. टर्की जो ऑलरेडी इतनी तकलीफ में है, वहां पे उनके इंपोर्ट्स भी अगर रुक जाते तो पॉपुलेशन भूखी मर जाएगी. Which is why wheat prices in these countries are increasing crazily. African countries, unfortunately, वहां पे भी यही हालत है. मतलब उनके तो more than 40-50% इंपोर्ट्स रशिया से आते हैं. अब अगर रशिया का ट्रेड बंद हो जाता है तो वहां पे तो पॉपुलेशन भूखी मर जाएगी. Imagine a country like Sri Lanka, which don't have foreign currency today. मतलब literally they had traded चाय की पत्ती जो होती है ना, उन्होंने चाय की पत्ती भेजी थी तेल मंगवाने के लिए, because they didn't have dollars. They literally conducted a barter trade. अब ऐसे देश के अंदर जहां पे अगेन रशिया से खाना जा रहा हो, उस देश का क्या होगा? This has been a huge concern. Agricultural products are going to be impacted crazily. Gehu, sunflower oil, sunflower seeds, all of these, barley, all of these agricultural commodities are going to hit badly the entire world. The next thing which I want to talk about is, like I said, 26% of Turkey's imports are coming from Russia. Let me give you statistics about China and India as well. 23% of China's imports, they come from Russia. 13% of India's imports around these agricultural products come from Russia. Yes, India and China, both of them are going to be impacted. But one good thing, again covered by Nishtha Zariwala in our reel, is it is going to be encouragement for Indian farmers to manufacture more of wheat. So wheat is important to India, given uska impact itna nahi rahega thanks to the revolution which happened in Punjab. But it is going to be really impacting for low-income countries emerging front pay. All right. The next commodity which I want to talk about is fertilizers. Now, you would be surprised, but ammonia, major part of ammonia is manufactured in Russia. And once again, ammonia is the ingredient in fertilizers which is used across the way. So which is why fertilizers are going to be more expensive now. So these things, these are some of the metals, commodities which I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about, there are 35 very important and rare metals and minerals which are listed by US. कि ये 35 कहीं नहीं मिलते हैं, रशिया में मिलते हैं, majority of those. So which is why जहां पे US का major import exposure है, मतलब US जहां से import कर पाता है, उनके लिए इम्पैक्ट है. यूएस के लिए तेल या ऑयल का इतना इंपॉर्टेंस नहीं है, बिकॉज यूएस हैज बीन ऑलवेज अ नेट एक्सपोर्टर ऑफ ऑयल एंड गैस टू रशिया. बट द प्रॉब्लम लाइज विद यूरोपियन कंट्रीज एंड us, basically India and Southeast Asia. We have been importing oil and natural gas from Russia. Russia has been supplying or rather using geography of Ukraine to supply natural gas and oil from from Russia to the entire Europe. In fact, there is a pipeline built. It hasn't been granted approval yet, but that pipeline remains intact. उससे gas provide होता है European Union को, which is why European Union एकदम, even though they know what may be happening between Russia and Ukraine is wrong, but they are not really supporting because उनका घर कैसे चलेगा? So yes, that has been a crazy impact. Now, in terms of commodities impact, तो मैंने बता दिया. Let me talk a bit about transportation. Now, I know a lot of you guys already are aware that transportation, container shortages, इनके कारण international transport बहुत महंगा हो गया है. Give you a bit of a numerical example. जो Black Sea है, जिसके थ्रू रशिया ट्रेड करता है, Black Sea में जो कंटेनर्स होते हैं ना, उनका दाम बिफोर वॉर was around $10,000 a day. आज पता है उनका दाम क्या चल रहा है? $1,70,000 a day. 17 गुना बढ़ चुका है दाम. Yes, transportation costs have increased. What happens when transportation increases? Again, everything gets impacted. So yes, as a world, Russia being part of that war, the entire world is getting impacted. And we, being dependent on Russia because of a geographical importance, obviously, being a powerhouse for the entire world when it comes to minerals and metals, we are getting impacted. Now, what lies ahead? Now, I know we, I have a couple of questions जो हम लोग end में लेंगे, but to talk about how exactly the central monetary authorities are now going to deal with this. अगर आप सोचोगे, and for people who have viewed our inflation का lecture, inflation comes when there is a crazy amount of liquidity or shortage in the markets. Short line में अगर समझाऊं मैं आपको economics को, कि अगर shortage हो तो महंगाई आती है, या बहुत ज्यादा पैसा घूम रहा हो मार्केट में तो महंगाई आती है, क्योंकि लोग बेफिजूल का खर्चा करते हैं. Unfortunately, in current situation, it is both of them. Shortage भी चल रहा है, and it is going to be crazily impacting because of crazy liquidity which has been pumped into the markets. क्योंकि कोविड अभी क्या है ना, लोगों को उस रिसेशन से बाहर निकालने के लिए इतना पैसा डाला गया था सारे इकोनॉमीज में, तो which is why there is a crazy amount of liquidity, and this rally in metals has unfortunately been fueled because of this liquidity as well as the shortage fear. Now, what happens next? Central bank authorities, which were scheduled to increase the interest rates in 2022, will it happen? Because what happens when you increase interest rates, आप मार्केट से पैसा सोख लेते हो और ये पैसा आ जाता है आपके पास में, तो उससे और ज्यादा चीजें महंगी हो सकती है, बिकॉज अगर बिजनेस नहीं होगा तो शॉर्टेजेस बढ़ जाएगा, शॉर्टेजेस बढ़ेगा तो और ज्यादा महंगाई आएगी. So our perspective here is central banks may follow a dual approach. What they are going to do is एक हाथ से पैसा देना, monetary easing, so that shortages को डील कर सके, और एक हाथ से पैसा लेना through increasing interest rates. So yes, interest rates will increase. In fact, European Central Bank has already increased interest rates. We do expect US Feds to increase interest rates in May as well as July, 0.5% each. That is what the estimate from Goldman Sachs is. Now, at the same time, we do expect that the entire world, which is struggling through the repercussions of shortages and crazy inflation in metals, because जब भी metals expensive होते हैं, everything gets impacted. तो पूरी दुनिया जो इस महंगाई से जूझ रही है because of this war is going to be a long-term affair. It is not here for a short time, because as long as the war is continuing, this is going to continue afterwards. Because जब तक रशिया और यूक्रेन के ट्रेड के दरवाजे नहीं खुलते, पूरा वर्ल्ड इम्पैक्ट होते रहेगा. और यूक्रेन के दरवाजे खुल नहीं सकते, क्योंकि यूक्रेन के मेजर जो पोर्ट्स हैं जहां से एक्सपोर्ट्स होते हैं, all those ports have been acquired by Russia. तो रशिया वहां से ट्रेड होने देगा नहीं, नेचुरल सी बात है. So yes, as a thing to look out for going forward, monetary authorities, we do anticipate them increasing the interest rates, but the tightening is going to take a backseat now, because again, they have to focus on revival and deal with this crazy amount of stagflation, where the economies are stagnant, but the inflation is very high. So yes, that's our perspective. I think what I wanted to cover, we have already covered. I want to spell out a couple of sources which viewers can benefit from. They can read these sources from where we have created this wonderful material. IMF, UNCTAD, S&P Global, Boston Globe and Atlantic Council. ये sources है जो हमने use करके ये information निकाली है. Please do read their original articles. They are amazing. Now we will open the round for question and answers. I want to keep it short, so hopefully you guys enjoyed whatever we have discussed so far. I want to start with the Q&A round. अगर किसी को कोई भी सवाल है या पहले आपने post कर दिया तो please request you to please post it again so that we can take a look at the questions and answer those questions. Let me just quickly take a look at YouTube Live. Newsletter of these videos in summarized fashion. Yes, so Rajat, we will be posting a quick summary of this on Twitter, and वो Twitter thread भी हम लोग हमारे Twitter handle पे post करते हैं. So do follow us on Twitter as well in case if you want a written summary of this discussion. Our handle for Twitter is Finacle_Academy. So you can follow us on Twitter. I have a question from crowd. What are the opportunities we can get from the same? So what ideally you need to take a look at is, so I'm not going to spell it out for each and every one of you because this is not really an investment recommendation session, but I would recommend looking at businesses which are very inventory heavy at the moment. That might indicate a huge inventory gain which may be passed on in the upcoming quarter. That is going to be something very interesting to take a look at. So inventory heavy businesses. Second thing, for businesses who started capex, they may stop with their capex plans. Capex मतलब expansion of businesses, because earlier उन्होंने सोचा था कि ये project शायद 100 करोड़ का है, उन्होंने 100 करोड़ लगा दिया, but then suddenly things became expensive, 1.5x हो गया, अब 150 करोड़ लगेगा, extra के 50 करोड़ कहाँ से लेके आए? So which is why such capex plans may hinder, मतलब रुक जाएंगे शायद, या हो सकता है they may go for additional fundraising to complete those capex. So do keep an eye out for such businesses. I think there could be real good opportunities there. There's one more question. Can India replace Russia in global exports? No, there's no way India can do that. Let me explain why. India has tried to do their best when it comes to aluminium, thanks to our own in-house power plants or in-house manufacturing plants when it comes to aluminium. But when it comes to other metals, it's a geography specific thing. So Russia is always going to remain Russia, and the Middle East countries are always going to remain, because आप उनकी खदानें तो घर पे नहीं लेके आ सकते ना, ये चीज हमेशा याद रखिएगा. So which is why this is something which is very geography specific. So minerals, they are within their geography. So there's no way you are going to replace those. Yes, in case if you find a substitute for that metal, which anyways people have been trying to do it since long. So I don't really see how that is going to be, replaced anytime soon. There's one more question. Increase in interest rates may impact small caps more. So this is a wonderful document which again I referred to in my session around inflation by Warren Buffett. We will be sharing that document. So impact of inflation on equities, how it impacts. Do take a look at that document. In fact, that highlights a lot more in detail rather than just talking about large caps, small caps, and mid caps. That's going to be not really that simple to simply spell it out for you guys. However, like I said, do take a look at what kind of exposure a business has to these metals, and maybe perhaps how the kind of inventory which businesses are carrying. That might help you guys. Are there any other questions? Yes. Should India avail petrol, oil, etc. at lower price as offered by Russia, or any impact of that from US sanction side? Very good question by Komal. India has already accepted it. First of all, there is no should accept. India has already accepted it. They have already started buying discounted oil from Russia. That benefits us, yes, absolutely. And so India is in a very difficult position when it comes to this diplomacy, because if we don't support Russia, we are indirectly sending across a message that we are opposing Russia. Now, you not buying that oil from Russia has two motivations. First, you want to give an indication, hey, bro, I'm with you. Second, I obviously want to make money out of this opportunity. Or rather, why would I buy at $130 a barrel when I'm getting, let's say, 110 from somewhere else, right? It's a simple trade. And I know US has tried to place sanctions, but it's not the first time that something which went against US ideology or double standards which they have shown in the past as well. This has happened. Like literally they invaded a country, they burned their oil reserves and did everything they wanted to when they felt the timing was right. And when someone else is doing it, they're crying foul. It doesn't really work that way, right? So which is why this issue has been raised in UN multiple times, and Russia has been warning Ukraine for the Crimea issues and everything. I'm not going to get into the details of, otherwise we are going to divert the discussion from impact of Russian war on commodities to why Russia and Ukraine war. But yes, hopefully that should communicate the point. So yes, any country would benefit from this. However, actually it depends on the need of the hour. Like at the moment, India's need of the hour in the Indian subcontinent, the power which India has shown globally, it's okay to burn a few ties with US. Few ties. I didn't say all ties, right? So please do mark that. That's very important. The next question which I have on Instagram is, if we are getting oil at a cheaper rate, then why petrol prices are increasing? So to give you a bit of a background, petrol prices are derived on multiple layers of direct and indirect taxations, which are shared by state and government separately across all states, which is why we have different prices of petrol across different states. Second thing, it's not that simple. When oil prices were increasing from $80 to $130 a barrel, Adi, you need to take a look at perspective. Like जब तेल double हो गया ना, तब भी इन्होंने prices increase नहीं करे थे. They literally had slashed the prices 10 rupees. जो 100 रुपए के ऊपर जा चुका था उसको कम भी किया था. So do take a look at the broader perspective. I'm not here supporting their decision making, but yes, it's a very complicated game as compared to a linear relationship. वहां 2 रुपए बढ़ेगा तो यहाँ भी 2 रुपए बढ़ेगा, वहां 2 रुपए घटेगा. अगर उस हिसाब से चलते तो $80 से 130 जब गया था पेट्रोल, ओवरऑल ऑयल बैरल, हम लोगों का पेट्रोल तो यहाँ 150 रुपए लीटर हो जाना चाहिए था दोस्त. That didn't really happen that way, right? So hopefully that answers your question. Is there any other questions? By the way, for our viewers, I want to just remind that today is the last day for Finacle Shah classes giveaway benefit of 5,000 rupees Nifty Bees. So do take a look at our post. Do avail it. So lucky winner will be getting 5,000 rupees Nifty Bees in their account. So yes, that's a really good initiative taken by us to ensure that you guys actually get a benefit out of it. So do take a look at our post and like, share, and subscribe our Finacle Instagram channel as well as YouTube channel. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter as well. Finacle_Academy is our handle. We'll be posting a written summary of this in a day or two, along with the recording, which will be made live. Unless anyone has any other questions, I think we'll call it a day. All right. Thank you so much, guys. We had a wonderful time today. We look forward to having you guys in next session. So Adi saying mujhe de do. So maybe you'd like to take your chances. Why 2,500 mere saath kyun share karna hai when you can get all 5,000? So maybe you'd like to take a look at that post and avail all 5,000 to yourself. Thank you, Adi, and have a good day, guys. Bye. Take care.